Your neighbor on 5 acres of weeds and chickens just banked $10,000 last year. Not from eggs, not from farmers markets, from thin air. The USDA will not tell you this. Your feed store guy has no clue. But right now in the United States, small organic farms are getting paid cold hard cash for the carbon their soil sucks up. And the wild part, most of them were already doing the work for free. Picture this. Your neighbor down the road is sitting on 3 acres of mixed veggies and a couple of goats. He is not selling at the farmer's market every weekend. He is not shipping microgreens to fancy restaurants. But he is pulling in 10 grand a year from his dirt, not from crops, from carbon. Yep, carbon credits for small organic farms might be the sleeper side hustle of the decade. And nobody is talking about it. Not the USDA folks, not the YouTube homesteaders with their perfect barnwood backgrounds, not even your local extension agent who still thinks cover crops are just for soil nerds. Let us get one thing straight. This is not Wall Street fairy dust. This is not some crypto scheme for cows. This is real money tied to real practices that you organic farmers are already doing. The problem is the whole carbon market was built for big ag. 1,000-acre corn guys with GPS tractors and spreadsheets thicker than a phone book. Small farms got left in the dust, but that is changing fast. And if you play it smart, your little patch of paradise could be cashing checks just for doing what you do best. Now, before we dive into the meat and potatoes, let me hit you with 5 secrets that most folks get dead wrong about carbon credits. Because the internet is full of bad takes, and I would rather you not get played. First secret, you do not need a forest. Everybody thinks carbon credits equal planting 1 million trees and waiting 40 years. That is one way. But soil is the real MVP. Healthy soil built with compost, cover crops, rotational grazing, and no-till practices can sequester a shocking amount of carbon. We are talking 0.5 ton to 2 tons of carbon per acre per year if you are dialed in. On 5 acres, that is real money. The big registries finally figured out that small diversified farms are carbon sinks too. They just had to be dragged kicking and screaming to admit it. Second secret, organic certification actually makes you more attractive, not less. The old myth was that carbon buyers only wanted conventional farms because they could measure the change from bad to less bad. That is garbage. Buyers today are paying premiums for co-benefits. They want biodiversity. They want water retention. They want pollinator habitat. They want the story. Your organic farm already has that story baked in. You're not just storing carbon. You're building a whole ecosystem. Corporations shelling out for credits love to slap your farm photo on their sustainability report. That wholesome vibe is worth extra dollars per ton. Third secret, you do not need to sign your life away for 20 years. The horror stories you heard were from 2015. Back then, contracts were basically serfdom with paperwork. New platforms are doing 5-year terms. Some are annual. Some even let you stack payments year to year like a subscription. The key is to avoid the middlemen who take 50%. Look for farmer first registries or co-ops that were built by growers. If the salesperson shows up in a Tesla and calls soil dirt, run. Fourth secret, you already have most of the data. The biggest headache used to be verification. Soil samples, satellite scans, guys in clipboards charging you $3,000 to tell you what you already know. Now, a lot of programs use practice-based payments. That means you get paid for doing the thing, not for a lab number. If you can show receipts for compost, seed tags for cover crops, and photos of your rotational grazing, you are halfway there. Your phone is your new filing cabinet. Snap a pic, geotag it, done. No PhD required. Fifth secret. The $10,000 number is real, but it is not automatic. Here's the math without the boring table. Carbon prices are floating around 15 to 40 bucks per ton right now for high quality credits. Let us call it 25 to be conservative. A well-managed 5-acre organic veg and pasture farm can realistically sequester 2 to 4 tons per acre per year. Take the middle 3 tons, that is 15 acres times 3 tons times $25. Boom. That is $1,100. Okay, that is not 10 grand. So where does the rest come from? Stacking. That is the word the big guys do not want you to know. You can stack carbon credits with other ecosystem services. Water quality credits, biodiversity credits, riparian buffer payments from USDA programs. Plus you get yield bumps and input savings from the same practices. The carbon check might be $2,000. The fertilizer you did not buy is another $2,000. The premium price you get because your soil grown tomatoes taste like summer is another $3,000. The NRCS cost share for your new cover crop seeder is another $2,000. Add it up and suddenly your side hustle is flirting with 5 figures. It is not magic. It is just farming smarter and getting paid for the stuff you were already doing for free. Let me give it to you straight with a relatable analogy. Think of your farm like a savings account in 2008. For years, the bank paid you nothing. Zero interest. You kept your money there anyway because it felt safe. That was your soil. You were building organic matter, feeding microbes, keeping the place alive, and the world gave you nothing for it. Now imagine the bank shows up and says, hey, we were wrong. We are going to pay you interest and back pay and a toaster. That is carbon credits. The atmosphere took out a loan on your soil and finally decided to pay it back. My personal stake in this, I am not some guy in a suit. My uncle ran a 10-acre organic truck farm in Oregon. He nearly lost it in 2019. Wholesale prices tanked. He was ready to sell to a developer. We sat at his kitchen table, drinking terrible coffee, looking at soil test results that showed his organic matter had jumped from 2% to 6% in 8 years. That was carbon. Tons of it. We found a small registry that worked with farms under 50 acres. First year check was $1,800, not life-changing, but it covered his property tax. Next year he stacked it with a state healthy soils grant. Year 3 he was at $9,000 total benefit. He kept the farm. His grandkids still chase chickens there. That is why I get fired up about this. Now let us get a little unhinged because this is where it gets spicy. The carbon market is the Wild West right now. There are good actors and there are snake oil salesmen. If someone promises you $100 a ton and a free ATV, they are lying. If they cannot explain additionality without using the word synergize, hang up. But if you find the right partner, this is the first time in history that small organic farms can get paid for being the good guys. Not just by customers who care, but by Microsoft and Delta and all those companies trying to go net zero. Here is the savage truth. Conventional big ag had a 100-year head start on subsidies and crop insurance. This is our turn. Regenerative organic practices are not just good for the planet. They are finally good for your wallet. And the best part, you do not have to change who you are. You just have to document it. So what is the catch? You have to be willing to nerd out a little. Keep records, take photos, walk your fields with an app instead of just a coffee mug. And you have to be patient. Payments usually come once a year, not monthly. This is a side hustle, not a lottery ticket. But think about it. 10 grand a year is a used tractor. It is a season of labor. It is a new greenhouse. It is the difference between surviving and actually building something, all from the carbon you are already pulling out of the sky with your cover crops and your compost and your rotational moo crew. Which brings me to the question that is going to start a fight in the comments. If corporations are willing to pay small organic farms to sequester carbon, does that make us sellouts for taking the money? Or does it make us the smartest stewards on the planet for finally getting paid what our soil is worth? Drop your take below. Are you in or are you out? And if you already enrolled in a program, tell us who you used and whether they treated you right. This is Organic Matters. We farm loud, we talk real, and we get dirty so you do not have to. Smash that like button if you think dirt deserves dividends. And subscribe because next week we are breaking down how to turn your chicken manure into another revenue stream without the EPA knocking on your door. Y'all take care. Keep it organic, keep it profitable, and keep it weird.